Good afternoon and welcome back to Northern Maine Productions. We're in the workshop, we're on the workbench. We're going to be looking at the differential and chain case parts for the Snapper 30083. In the last video we went through the differential case and cleaned it up and degreased it and inspected it for wear. I addressed a couple of issues with that differential. We replaced one of the pinion gears in the differential itself, and I also replaced the stub shaft, which had the hub on that the wheel mounts to had come loose and egg-shaped this hole all out. So I replaced this piece with another used piece that I had here. So that should be all good to go. So yesterday I disassembled the chain case. This did not turn out so well. What I discovered was this was full of water. It was full of water really bad. We have this bearing here is really rough. This is on the input shaft. The input shaft itself is in good shape, and the sprocket is in good shape. And this bearing here is fine, but this bearing here goes on there, and that one is extremely rough. Now, there was another issue with this too, and that would be the brake drum. The brake drum, as you can tell, had been loose on there for a very long time, and there's all the holes all hugged out. So that would be another part that I would have to replace. The chain inside of this case was actually in good shape. It actually has very minimal rust on it, and it's not all bound up or anything. So probably that would be okay to use. The big ticket item is this gear. That thing is absolutely destroyed. It's all pitted really bad from setting for almost 30 years with water in it. There's no way that this could be reused. And these two bearings in that this goes in, that one there is fairly bad, but this one in this cover is extremely rough. Really rusty. So that's, probably not the end of the world. I don't know how much the little brake drum would cost, but I know that this sprocket right here is $300. Probably the bearings are 10 bucks a piece or something like that. So yes, that could be repaired, but 300 bucks is a lot of money to put into something like this, especially if you've actually parted out machines like this in the past, which I have done, and I was very lucky that I have a complete chain case here. This is out of a Series 5 machine. This came out of a 28085, I believe this is out of. And this one is still in good shape. There's nothing wrong with it. So there is absolutely no reason why I can't reuse this. I did get the correct style hub mounted onto this. This is the type of hub that takes that the drive disc bolts right onto directly. There's no slippage in that thing. When you put that in gear and go, she goes. This old brake band is probably still salvageable, I guess. a little bit messed up here on this end of it from water, but that part of it doesn't even really touch the drum that much, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that. That'll be just fine. So basically all I've got left to do to this is take it and spray it down with shop salve or carburetor cleaner or something like that and get it all dried off in good shape, and then paint it. I'll prime it and paint it, and it should be good to go. This link right here, this is a shift and linkage, and that's, you know, it's about the same kind of condition they're all in. This piece here is going to have to be addressed. I think that I can actually take this pin off, take this clip off here and turn this around and put the warn sign down on this, and that'll give it all of this surface area here to wear on. Now it looks like somebody's already done some work on this with some brass, so maybe I'll buy a new one if they're available. I don't know. In the previous video I discussed the possibility of putting bushings in this because somebody had run this with no bushings in it. Well, after a closer examination, I discovered that the end of this shaft is worn because I don't believe there was a thrust washer on that. It should look more like this one. So, and this one here is not much good either. The sprocket is pretty well worn out on that one. So these two shafts are basically junk. Probably I should just throw them right in the trash just to get rid of them. But. So this one here is the one that was in this originally. Now it is fairly rusty and it's pitted quite bad. So it had a lot of scale build up on it, was my biggest problem, and it didn't fit really well into this, which would have posed a problem because this has to slide back and forth on this. So I worked this over the other day with a grinder and some sandpaper, and I feel fairly confident that this is going to work just fine. Especially, you know, get some grease on this. I think that probably this is probably gonna work okay. I'm gonna take a risk and try it. If it doesn't work, I got nobody to blame but myself. And it's not going to cause anybody else any aggravation because nobody else will probably own this machine, not just be mine. So, but yeah, so this gear here, I think I stated, this gear here brand new was $300. Well, I could buy one of these probably. That's $100. Maybe a little more. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So the other issue that I'm a little bit concerned about, but not much, is I stated previously that this bushing was not available. This goes in the, this would be, if you were sitting on the machine, this would be on the left side in the rear. That would sit, this would be the rear side of the machine, this would be the front. This bushing is not available from Snapper anymore. It's kind of a special bushing. It has a grease fitting in it. This has got some wear. It's a little bit egg shaped. Not real bad, but what I did discover was you can buy these aftermarket. You can buy these from Amazon, and they're like $11 each. I think they're put out by Rotary, which is a good aftermarket brand name. So I'm going to get a couple of these just because this, I think I stated in the other video, there is a little bit of wear on this axle shaft here. And it's got some rust pitting on it. I mean, this thing did sit outside for 30 years. But for what I intend to use this machine for, I don't think that's going to become a major problem. And you know, even if it does wear out the bushing occasionally, it's not that big of a deal to change this bushing in this machine. Takes just a few minutes to take the wheel and the hub off of there and unbolt that fender. So I'm gonna take a chance and run this, try it out. You know, what's the worst case that's gonna happen? Worst case that'll happen is this will get worn and sloppy. Now on one of my other machines, I laughed when I noticed it. I had a problem with the differential in that at one point, and when I took the fender and when I took the wheel and the hub off in that, I noticed that there was a groove or clear up into here where somebody had run that for so long that the axle wore completely through the bushing and was partway started up into the fender. I really laughed when I saw that. Boy, that is wore out bad. Well, they drove the bushing out of there and drove another one in there. They didn't even weld in the slot that axle would cut in there. And the funny part of it is, I think that fender is still on that machine operating to this day. The bushing fit in there good and tight. I've never had any issues with it. So basically, if I could get this machine in good operating condition and get it so that it looks really good cosmetically, that's what I'm after. I'm after something that I could take to an equipment show. You know, these things are basically extinct in this area. There is no more snapper rear engine riders, whether old or new. There's no dealers in this area anymore. The place that I worked at in Smyrna Mills was RC Logging Supplies, and that was the last dealer that I knew of in this area. And he stopped selling them in like 1992 or 1993. That was the last of the snappers we had there. They basically outpriced themselves. They were, you know, people wanted bigger lawnmowers, and back then their big lawnmowers were real expensive. So snapper kind of outpriced himself in this little part of the world here. Ariens did the same thing. There aren't many Ariens dealers around here anymore either. MTD's been a big seller here in this area for a lot of years. There's a lot of MTD machines around here. So, and there's also a lot of AYP machines that were built by craftsmen. There was actually a Sears store here in Holton, Maine that just recently closed, but they managed to really saturate this area with Sears AYP lawnmowers. So, anyways, I get off track there a little bit. So basically, I got to get the differential put back together, and I'll get all this stuff painted up and cleaned up and ready to re-put into the machine. And then I have to get this rear section that I have on the floor over here up on here, the rear tunnel, and we're going to get that ready to start reassembling the machine. So, believe it or not, we're going to get this going in the opposite direction a lot sooner than I planned on. You know, the weather's getting cold here, and it's getting a little bit chilly to work in this building too, so probably that's going to shut down this production here fairly soon. You know, probably within the next month or so. I suspect we're going to be done working on this snapper for the winter. but I'm gonna get as much as done as what I can this fall. I'd at least like get the rear tunnel reassembled, get all these differentials back in it. Maybe there'll be time to get more stuff done, it's hard to tell, but anyways, for now, I guess that's it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are interested in this. I'm looking forward to bringing some more video on this as soon as I can get some more done. Y'all have a good one. Bye bye.